been talking about the blending of cultures, and that's really how I want to end this video, by talking about a very specific example of cultural blending, and that is Romano-Egyptian mummy portraits. If you know anything about funeral customs in antiquity, you probably know that Egyptians mummified their dead, sometimes, finances depending, and that they constructed pyramids. They left behind sarcophagi, more or less elaborate, again, depending on the socioeconomic status of the deceased. So like everyone else who encounters Egypt for the first time, the Romans thought that Egypt was really cool. They had known about Egypt for a long time, but it wasn't until the Augustan period, with the fall of Cleopatra and Antony, that Egypt came under Roman control, and Romans were moving there and settling there in large quantities. Egypt was already a cosmopolitan mix of cultures. It had spent some time being ruled over by the Ptolemies, which were a Macedonian Greek dynasty, the successors to Alexander the Great, and that's where Cleopatra comes from. So, that was her dynasty, was the last one before the Romans took it over. There were also a lot of Jews living in Egypt, particularly in Alexandria, which was the capital where the Ptolemies were. So the Egypt that Rome took over was already a mix of cultures. The way that we see Rome really making its mark on Egypt is in some of the burials that are from probably aristocrats. So these portraits primarily come from the area of Fayum, so they're sometimes called the Fayum mummy portraits, and these are upper-class burials. They would have been expensive to make. Interestingly enough, dental records show that they were more often than not ethnically Egyptian, but certainly Romanized in terms of how they dressed and things like that, and we'll see some of that in the images. So these portraits were, in true Roman fashion, very lifelike, based directly off of what the person actually looked like, so that's really helpful for us. And they're painted primarily on wood, and they're placed on top of the sarcophagus, where the face would be. And we have a ton of them. So what can we tell from looking at these? Maybe their most significant contribution in terms of visuals is that we get a sense of how people dressed, what people wore for accessories, hairstyles, and you can see, you can almost date different burials to different periods based on the hairstyle and the jewelry and stuff. It's really, really useful as a tool. And it also shows us that, like today, fashions change, things come in and out of favor. So I want to show you two of these. Now, I'm not an expert in Egyptian materials, so I can't really give you all that much insight, but I can give you a little bit of data about each of these and just let you look at them and see. You almost feel like you're in the room with the person. It's a little bit unsettling, I think, in a way that is productive. So this is the first example, and we know her name. It's written somewhere on her sarcophagus. Her name was Isidora, which is a Greek name, which means gift of Isis. And we know that she must have been very wealthy because of the way that she's depicted. She's decked out in what looks to be like a gold wreath of some kind on her head, really elaborate earrings and necklace and clothing. This is a very, very fancy portrait of someone who clearly was very wealthy. And this is something different. This is clearly a child, and again we have his name, Eutukes, or good fortune. I find it very poignant and a little bit sad that someone who was named clearly because there was hope for what he would be when he grew up, he never made it. It shows antiquity, in my opinion, in a different light. You feel more close to ancient people. You feel like you can see them and get a sense of what they did, how they lived. They danced, they played music, They ate and drank. They participated in the economy, the good parts of it, and the bad. We see what they did for work, the gods they worshipped, the religious beliefs they practiced. And when it was time, we see how they buried their dead. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you again for the request. I'm going to keep doing these requests, so if you have more, put them in the comments below. If you like this video, you can let me know by leaving a thumbs up down below. And as always, I'll see you in the comments. Keep those comments coming. We always have such a good discussion down there. Happy 2024. I hope this year treats you well. I'm looking forward to hanging out more and putting up more videos. So that's all I have to say. I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.